My 2-week unit is on the Great Depression, and you could really, depending on the depth of it, you could really go into it any point in middle school. The first day we did the crashing stock market, which is kind of known as the beginning of the Great Depression. It's Black Tuesday. I had a primary source that we all looked at the beginning of class. It was a picture of everyone in front of where they did all the stockbroking and everything on Wall Street. And it just went over some questions with the students. What did they think it would be like if they knew what the stock market is, and go into some of the detail about what it actually is, what it meant for it to crash, how it happened, and then why they think that day was referred to as like Black Friday. Why not orange or purple or blue or any other color? And then just going into analyzing the picture more. They'll be looking into the fact that there was a Black Monday of October of 1989, and what they see as the differences and similarities between Black Monday and Black Tuesday. They'll be making a Venn diagram. On the third day we did Is There a Chicken for Every Pot? It went into talking about President Hoover and his political campaign before the Great Depression took place, took hold of the economy. He made claims about a chicken for every pot under his administration. And so we look at some politics of the time. We actually read his article, A Chicken for Every Pot, and then I have them do an activity. If they knew anything about the negative campaigning against one another. And so independently, I had the students use activity sheets that I found and have them write a negative campaign, just to see if they really understood the difference between positive campaigning and negative campaigning. And it was to show how they would have campaigned against President Hoover. On day 5 and 6, we did entertainment. The first day, we did more about comic strips. We tied that into the political cartoons that were very popular during the time. Some of the Little Orphan Annie comic strips that were really popular then, and they got to have a little bit more of a look into what kids and adults at that time enjoyed compared to what we do now for entertainment. We surf the internet or watch TV or whatever. Well, they read comic strips and listened to the radio, which fed into the next day where we talked about President Roosevelt's fireside chats. I had a copy of his first fireside chat, and I actually found a video on YouTube so that they can just listen along with it and see how casual he actually was with the American society, and how much he really did care about what they were going through, letting them know how he was going to help, and just giving them hope for a future. Day 7 and 8 kind of led into Mrs. Roosevelt and how she was such a prominent figure as a first lady, and her personality. The first day we went into a letter to Mrs. Roosevelt. It was a really hard time, obviously, during the Great Depression, and Mrs. Roosevelt actually received a letter from a lady asking, I'm gonna have this child soon. We don't have the funds to take care of this baby right now. There's just a few things I need, and if you could help me acquire these things. She sent 2 of her most prized possessions. One was, I believe, a ring from her mother, and the other was her wedding ring. And she sent these to Mrs. Roosevelt, hoping that she would get the supplies she needed for her baby that was coming. And she had promised as soon as she could, she would be sending payments, anything to pay Mrs. Roosevelt back. And I had the kids reply what they think Mrs. Roosevelt would have replied with. Nobody's ever been able to find a response letter from Mrs. Roosevelt. Day 8 was dealing with Mrs. Roosevelt's resignation, Daughters of the American Revolution. We talked mostly about why she resigned, how she did it, if it was ladylike and graceful for the time period and whatnot. And we talked about taking a stand for our beliefs and if they knew what segregation was and stuff like that. I wanted them to write back to Mrs. Roosevelt what they thought the response letter to hers was. And then we went over the actual response letter. And we compared and contrasted what they thought of what did happen, what could have taken place and made it more tactful and whatnot. And then day 9 and 10, we talked about the food and the overall just how people really lived in those days. And on day 10, we actually went through and made 2 recipes for the kids to try. There was like a dandelion salad and I think the other one was like a corn soup or something like that. And so we actually went through and had all the children actually sample what they had to eat every day.
Wow. That was awesome.
But I was kind of upset that I didn't have longer to cover the whole depression.
Well, you did a great job on that.
Thank you.